miss this shot, you're not just letting me down, you're letting your whole team down too.
Mad Props. So, hello and welcome to Mad Props, the place where you get mad props for your movie and TV props. Here, every prop has a story and every prop matters. Illustrator, movie writer, producer, director, everything. Toy collector, HorrorCon, like guest liaison, YouTuber.
You go deep on Theo Kane, bro. You know more about me than I do.
Everything.
Sorry, carry on. I'm interrupting you. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff, man.
You do it all. Former battle rapper, maybe current battle rapper. Do you ever retire from battle rap? A question we can ask in a moment. But Theo Kane, welcome.
Wicked to be here, bro. Thanks for having me. Awesome podcast. Do you know what? I was late coming on today. I just got a 3D printer and I spilt a load of resin because I was like, oh, shit, it's time to go on that podcast in a minute. And I spilt resin. And it's because I was watching your Ken Wu podcast, Justin Wong. That's why I was watching it and I got so roped into it. I forgot what time it was. So it's awesome what you're doing, man. When I saw some of the people that you've had on this podcast, like so far, and it's pretty young, do you know what I mean? It was like, yo, I need to be a part of this.
Well, thank you, and you're just adding to the list, so it's awesome. I mean, your backdrop already is awesome. I mean, before we go any further, for anyone that doesn't know you, like, tell us a bit about you. I mean, I just listed off loads of stuff, but you've been into like collecting, toy collecting, memorabilia, like since you were a child, right?
Well, I thought I was the biggest Mighty Ducks fan until I saw you guys who go hard. I put my Mighty Ducks jersey and hat on today, and then I saw how much stuff that you pulled out in that podcast. I was like, oh, these boys are putting me to shame with the jerseys and the knowledge and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I've collected pretty much all my life. My dad was a big antique toy collector and retro dealer and stuff like that, and toy collector, and he did toy fairs. And I was raised on market stalls and car boots and that kind of thing in auction houses. I remember being like, some of my earliest memories have been in auction houses with my dad and stuff. So I've always been around retro memorabilia and things like that. And I've never not collected something. I've always collected toys in some form. And then even when I got like too old for toys, like too old for it when you're not bothered anymore, even then I was getting like McFarlane and Spawn figures and like high detailed Japanese stuff and things like that. And then as I got older, I got more back in love with the retro stuff. So in regards to collecting, that's something that's always been in my blood. That's been in my blood as long as art has, because I was drawing before I could write. So that it's hard when you said to me, like, tell me a bit about yourself, because I forget what I do. And I've got, sometimes people remind me like, oh, do you remember when you did this for 3 years? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that was like a huge thing. And I just completely forgot about it. When you move as quick as I do, like I've got ADHD, so my brain doesn't slow down anyway. But when you do as much as I do and you non-stop as much as I do, like time really passes you by, and then you're like, oh wow, shit, like that was such a big deal. And then at the time it meant so much to me, like the battle rap thing, it meant so much to me, and now I don't even really think about it. It's just like a weird little chapter of a book that like I don't open but other people delve into now and again.
Well, with the battle rap side of things, you speak really quickly and I speak pretty slowly. So
I'm terrible, man. I hate it. Do you know when I record my Slime House YouTube videos, I watch them back and I'm like, what the fuck? I can barely understand what I'm even saying. I talk so quick, man. So yeah, it's something that I really try to do. You'll notice when I do my more scripted like toy review stuff, I'll be like, during the 90s, the Manta Force were one of the, and I try and slow down just so people. Do you know what I mean? I'm expecting people in other countries to try and follow what I'm saying, and I can barely understand my own accent myself sometimes. So I'll try and slow it down. I know we've only got till 11.
I actually like it. I mean, what I was going to say is like, it kind of has like a rhythmic flow to it. I mean, like for like the battle rap side of things, and when you're rapping and stuff, I mean, you kind of sound the same, obviously, apart from it's structured, rhyming and whatever. I mean, so just to touch on that quickly, because I'm sure people are interested. So you were rapping when you were like a teenager, and then it developed into battle rap, and how did that go?
Not even really. Like I've always I liked rap before I even knew it was called rap. And that was literally like, so if I go back to like my earliest experiences of hearing rap, it's like cringy as shit, but it would have been like PJ and Duncan. Do you know, like Ant and Dec?
Yes.
They do, let's get ready to roll. Watch us grab the mic, psych. And I didn't even know what rap were, but I just liked it. And it's funny because my parents were punks, like full on anarchist punks, tattoos on the, my dad's got anarchy tattooed on his neck, mohawk. Like they were like lived for anarchy and for punk, like not hip hop at all. So I was always raised around that kind of culture. I was always raised around like bikers and crusties and punks and hippies and all these kind of things. But for some reason, I just gravitated towards street and urban culture. And it might be because I grew up in a council estate and like growing up, my dream house was like the foot soldier's den from Ninja Turtles. You know, this is what we do with this skateboarding and the graffiti and everything. Like, I just thought that was the dopest shit ever. So I always gravitated towards that kind of culture subliminally without even realizing it. And then obviously as you get older and you like learn about Eminem and Dr. Dre, and then you go down all that kind of rabbit hole and NWA and all this stuff, I loved rap. So I mean, I think we might have always messed about rapping anyway as kids. We had a bit of battle rapping, but if you're like, if you're a dude, generally girls aren't really like this. Girls are a bit more nice to the face and behind the back, but dudes are a lot more like they just break each other's balls. Even now, I'll buy like a new hat. My best friend Slacker, he'll see me, he's like, "You look alright, dickhead, in that hat." Before I've even asked him, because boys are just like that. They just break each other's balls a lot. My kind of guys are anyway. So we'd always done a bit of battle rap, and then when 8 Mile come out, obviously everyone's just like writing bars and stuff. I mean, again, we could do a whole podcast just on hip hop, but like when Eminem was like in his prime, us in England first hearing about that kind of rap and stuff, like every single person in my school had Eminem on their headphones. And when 8 Mile come out, it just like took over. So everyone started to find out what battle rap is, even though the battle rap of our generation is completely different to that. He definitely had a big influence. But just in college, like my friend just had a studio set up in his bedroom and he rapped. And I was just round his house one weekend and he's like, "Oh, why don't you drop a verse on this track?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll write a little thing." And I just wrote something and rapped it, and it'll be shit. But that was like my first experience and just did it a little bit more. But I mean, people might know this. I suppose if you're watching this about battle rap, listening to me, you'll have heard me talk about this before, but I was the cameraman at Don't Flop. That's how I started. And I only started being the cameraman at Don't Flop because I was with another battle rapper called Respect BA that I knew as a battle rapper, but I knew him through filming and martial arts. So I was down in Norwich randomly doing some filming with him, and the cameraman pulled out for the event where Sensor battled O'Shea. BA was supposed to battle the Saurus. That's what we were filming, like the lead up to this big battle, and then it didn't happen. And so I'm trying to slow it down. But basically, I joined as the cameraman. But then I was big into grime music. So I wasn't doing any hip hop or anything like that. I liked grime. I liked garage. I liked So Solid Crew. I liked Roll Deep and all this. I loved grime. So I did like grime. But then where I'm from, my city, it's the home of bassline music. It was born here. So we was rapping over bassline. And then I was going to raves and you could jump on the mic, and I jump on the mic and get people and just have a good time. And then Rowan, who runs Don't Flop, just said to me like, "Oh, why don't you do a battle at some point?" And I didn't even think. I goes, "Yeah, I'll do a battle. I can break balls and rhyme shit." Like, and I knew I wasn't nervous going into it because I'd been filming the battles for like a year, so I knew everyone there. And this is a time where 90% of the crowd was just other battle rappers, so they were just all my mates. It were like just rapping in front of a bunch of my friends. And just like really got the bug for it. I was a fan of battle rap before. I grew up watching Jump Off. Like when I met Respect BA, he was like a god to me. I couldn't believe he was coming to stay with me in Sheffield to work on a movie with me. Like it was crazy at that time. And yeah, so I just got into it that way. And now battle rap to me, it's not something like you said, I've retired. I don't battle rap anymore. I still write some bars now and again because I love doing music. So sometimes I'll just be in the bath and I'm just there trying to chill and just have like 10 minutes before I get in bed. And I start thinking of a rhyme scheme and then I'm writing it down and I'm like, "Oh, I might do a track." And I've got 16 bars wrote. I wrote like the dopest Godzilla track when Godzilla King of the Monsters come out and still never recorded it. And I was like, I might record it when Godzilla versus Kong comes out, and then I didn't, but that's like a whole thing I wrote and never used. So I don't battle rap anymore. I will never battle rap again. And I think in today's culture, battle rap is just like, it just doesn't wash. So like today's culture, cancel culture, people that like are offended at lots of things, and it's a whole different world that we live in. Like them looking back at battle rap might be like, "Oh my God, you cannot say this stuff." But we was all friends. We were saying the most horrendous shit to each other, but we was all fucking boys. There's like my favorite picture, one of my favorite pictures ever. We took it in Norwich. There's about 30 of us in the middle of the street. There's black guys, white guys, Asian guys. There's villain who's an albino. There's such a mix. We've got Africans, Jamaicans, everyone together, and we was all the best of friends, and we would have all fucking died for each other. But in the battle, we were saying the most horrendous things to each other, and to anyone outside the circle, they'll be, "Oh my God, these guys hate each other." soon as the camera were off, we were there partying, having a laugh, spitting each other's bars back to us, going, "Oh, that bar you said about me being proper pale, it was the funniest thing ever." And it's just a different culture now. I don't think battle rap now wouldn't be able to hit as hard as it did back then. And I think films like came out like Bodied that like came probably a bit too late. I feel like that I don't know. It's a weird thing that I don't care enough about battle rap to ever pursue it again. The last battle I was supposed to do was against Arsenal, and then it got cancelled like last minute. So I was like, do you know what? I just want to get on with my movie stuff. Maybe it got cancelled for a reason. I don't know. Maybe like subliminally in the line of fate, because that battle could have then led to other battles, and I would have never got out of it. So it's one of them things that I won't ever battle again, but I never really shy away from the fact that we did it, because I've made some of my best friends in battle rap. I made some of my best connections in battle rap. I traveled the country. I met friends from all over the world through that. And I'm doing stuff now that I would have never done if it wasn't for battle rap. So I don't do it anymore, but the fact that I did it means a lot to me. And if you look at it and you're not part of that world, you might think, oh, it's wrong, it's offensive what you're saying, you can't say that kind of stuff. And I understand that, but if you are part of it, then you understand it. It's just, if you don't understand it, it's just not for you, don't worry about it, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, two things I would just say. Yeah. One, that's all the way back. PJ and Duncan was, unshamedly my first ever concert as a kid.
Oh, so no way. You even outdid me on that one.
yeah, I was there in person. And then another thing to say was I was actually there and saw you Battle Madness, where you did the movie bars only, which I think is that's a really special one, because anyone that's into movies, which is like the whole world, can get behind that one, because you basically were battling each other. As a Madness is this American guy who's like a battle rap legend, and but you were battling each other only with movie references.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. I mean, that was a weird battle, because watching it back, I don't like it. There's a few reasons I don't like it. Again, I spit everything too quick, and that's why I rap too quick. So I never liked that. And also, I was so into making my movie at the time that my head just was in a different place. And also, there was no winner. It was a promo battle, so I just felt like I was getting up, just doing a poetry performance, and then getting off, and then had to get back on in my movie mind frame. That was easily like. There's some times it don't flop where the events were like unbelievable, and that was like an unbelievable event. There were so many famous people used to come to them. We had like green rooms full of like free drinks and stuff like that. There were thousands of people there. It was like a mad time. You in that little world, you really was like a celebrity in that world, and that was like one of the best events. So I don't really like that battle, but the memories of being like in those big events was awesome. And someone could watch that back and they're like, oh, why they're saying the most horrendous things to each other. 6 months later, I was in Florida sleeping at Madness's house. Like we're boys, you know what I mean? But so yeah, that was my last battle, and it was my retirement. And although it wasn't my favorite battle, I feel like it was a good one to end it on.
Yeah, that was dope. I thought it was really good. But so we're gonna get to the props, people, but let's just the movie. So you said you made a movie. It's called Unit 11. I was so desperate to watch this film for so long, because you'd done so many like behind the scenes videos on your YouTube channel, and sort of teasing all these different things, and it had all of these different people in that sort of I knew from like UK hip hop and battle rap and things like that, and then it came out and it was great.
Do you know what? It's one of those things, it took me so long to do that by the end of it I never wanted to watch it ever again. And then like and also, I'm editing footage that a lot of it was like 6 years old, and I'm like, I could film this better. I could act in it better. My hair could look better. I could have recorded the sound better. Like everything. I'm such a perfectionist that I do something and within a week I don't like it. And Unit 11, as much as I don't personally like watching it back, as an achievement and something that I can take to the grave, like I couldn't be prouder of the achievement. Do you know what I mean? But it's something that I always wanted to be involved in movies in some form. Ever since I was a kid, I'd always, and this is why like I wouldn't watch Mighty Ducks and think, oh yeah, I like that movie. I think, fuck, I want to be Mighty Ducks 4. I want to be in that film. I want to work on that film.
Same.
I'm so obsessed with movies. I mean, obviously, watching them films, who don't want to be in them? I mean, I wanted to be the fourth Free Ninja. That's what I wanted to be when I was growing up. Like, I liked Casey Jones, but I wanted to play Casey Jones's little brother in the next Turtles. So I always loved movies. And then when I found out how special effects work, I got this book on like Planet of the Apes makeup and Dick Smith and all this stuff, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do makeup effects. So I started out when I'm not from like any kind of privileged background, so we didn't get a video camera until I think I was like 14 or something like that. All my friends had video cameras, and I was thinking, I can't wait to get a video camera. My mum got a family video camera, and obviously I just took it straight away, and it was just mine from then on. And I started making like mess about films with my friends when I got a little bit older, and I'm like, yo, I really want to get into special effects. I started building elaborate like rigs, some Tom Savini, Gennaro De Rossi kind of rigs, heads getting cut off, slit wrists, blood, this kind of shit. And I would make little fun movies with my friends just to put effects in, and then they would start off being like a 10-minute film. And then after a few weeks, there would be a feature. So I made 3 features before I even got to Unit 11. I didn't know that. A film called Aftertaste, a zombie film. I made one called The Purgers, which is the prequel to Unit 11. And then I made Plague World, which is the prequel to Unit 11. So Unit 11 is actually a trilogy of movies, which you'll never see because they're terrible. But that was me just making films with an excuse to put elaborate effects in so that I had my own show reel. Most people wouldn't be able to get work in a film unless they had some kind of show reel. So I just made my own films with my own show reel. But I found myself getting way more in love with the directing and the writing and the acting side of stuff. I worked on a few movies, like low budget independent stuff. And by the time you'd spent 3 weeks working on an effect. By the time it was in the film for like a second and a half, and it would cut down, and it was like, fuck, man. So my one stamp on that movie is like less than a second of someone getting a shetty in the neck, and then it cuts to blood splatting on a tree, and that's it. I was like, nah, man, I worked too hard on it for it just to be that second. Some people are so happy just to run around getting coffee for people or recording sound or that kind of thing. Like I'm just not, and it's not because I've got an ego. Just my creative fulfillment requires more for me to be happy. That I need to do more. So it's over 10 years ago now. It's probably like 12 years ago now. In like 2008, do the math, whatever. That's when I first started like throwing the ideas around for Unit 11, and we just filmed it on and off for all those years. And about 6 years, about 2.5 years into Unit 11, I had to stop doing it. It was so hard. So like I said, I'd done 3 feature films before that. This meant that every single Sunday since I was about 16, 17, I'd been filming. I'd never had a Sunday, pretty much. I'd go to the car boot, go looking for toys, come home and film. And I could not remember a time when I wasn't trying to build effects or get stuff ready for filming, where I had a Sunday where I weren't doing that. And it got to a point where you're relying on people because when we were first doing it, we were all just kids. We were in college. We were just kids having fun with it. And then we start doing it, and people start getting families, start getting a girlfriend, getting a job, getting responsibility. And it was getting harder and harder to pull people together. Locations, I started wanting more elaborate locations. So I had to start putting my own money into things to like rent locations. And then people would let you down and fuck everything up. And so many factors come together where I hated filming. I was like, I don't ever want to film ever again. So like 2 years into Unit 11, it's funny that I said like 2-3 years because it was all just a blur. I just put all the props in boxes, put them away. And that's why I got into battle rap, because I didn't need to rely on anyone. As long as another guy turned up, I could, all the time and effort I'd put into writing, it paid off. Whereas with filming, I'd put 10 times more effort into what I did to battle rap, and 3 people could not turn up and fuck the whole scene up. And then one scene that should have been a few hours took 3 weeks of getting everyone together, and then me trying to chop and change stuff together, make the lighting look the same and things. And it just drained me, man. I weren't ready for that life yet. I needed to just enjoy my teens a little bit. So that's what battle rap were for me. Come around at the perfect time. And then once I'd done battle rap and I felt like I'd achieved everything, because when I said like, I did battle rap, I was like one of the most well-known in England for doing it, but the scene was so small that it didn't really mean anything. But I achieved as much as I could achieve. I beat some of the biggest in the world. Like I'd battle people from across the country. I'd released 3 albums, I think, at that point, and I'd done like 10 battles, and I was like, yeah, man, my calling in life is to make movies. And I felt like I I felt like I had this beast inside of me, and it sounds ridiculous, but it was almost like I was like preparing for an apocalypse. Like I felt like I was just like smashing the gym, and I was writing bars, and I'm just thinking like, you're like, whatever I'm putting into battle rap isn't enough to subdue whatever like beast is inside me. Not in a bad way. I didn't want to. I wasn't ready to like just punch through a wall and kill someone. I just had this energy that wasn't being. Battle rap weren't doing it. I would battle rap once every few months. And then soon as I started filming again, I basically started teaching film in college, like 1 day a week to cover for someone who was doing a course. I started taking his class in college, and I started filming again. And I thought I might see what I might make another little film. And then within a couple of days of that idea in my head, I was like, I'm going to start Unit 11 again. So I got back in touch with everyone. Luckily, they were all still on it. And within a couple of weeks of me picking up Unit 11 again, that beast was like dead. It was like that. So I knew that was like my calling. I'd done everything. I'd done everything else I could do. I'd done Unit 11 and all this stuff. I'd done battle rap and all these other things that I'd done. But it was filming was the reason for me to feel normal. And that's what I did. So for like, sorry to just to cap that off. So then, yeah, from that point on, like 5-6 years, every weekend again, blasting it out, losing sleep, stressing, thinking I can never get this film finished. And by some miracle, 2 years ago, we premiered it. And a year ago, it got released. So it's mental.
Which is awesome. And I think that's sort of part of it. Like everything you just explained, the journey, you kind of documented it like on your YouTube channel, which I'm sure is still there, which is Slimehouse TV. I'll put the link in the description so people can go and check out all of your, back catalog and everything and what you've got to come. But it felt like, even though this is the first time we've ever spoken, or met virtually or whatever, I felt like I was part of it because I was witnessing it, and I could hear like all of the effort and all of, it kind of reminded me of, this is meant as a compliment, but kind of like Bowfinger. Have you seen the Steve Martin film?
Yeah, I know Bowfinger.
They're sort of like making the movie, but it's like, having to sort of blag it and doing all these
all the
things.
way, blagging it. And so, but sorry, what were you saying?
Well, yeah, and so it kind of just like, but as a witness, it was just like when it finally came out, as soon as I knew it was out, I was straight on to Amazon or, where it was to watch it. And it was just like, it's kind of like a relief. Like I've seen it. It's taken this long and here it is. And then like seeing you on screen and seeing like all of the different bits, and you can kind of tell like some of the footage it kind of looked like there were parts that were sort of better shot than others, but it felt like, they're the bits that are more recent, and you can tell you're sort of learning the craft as you're going.
I grew making that movie. Like one of the things that I can do now, watching that back, and I think, oh yeah, man, at that point I was living at my parents at that point, and I can tell. And luckily I age slow. I've aged, and my friends aged, majority of us aged like slowly. So like you can't tell too much with some of the scenes. You kind of bit, but it's not like drastic. But what people like, anyone who'd never heard of this film before, like the thing to realize with it is I didn't just write a film, get some funding and make it. Like I wrote it, shot it, edited it, acted in it. So when I was acting in it, I had to give the camera to someone who didn't know how to use a camera. I barely knew how to use a camera. I didn't know what white balance was or shutter speed or any of this. We just pressed record and passed it to someone. So I did everything. I spent everything I had. I gave everything I had financially, everything of my soul I gave to it. I built every prop pretty much. I fucking built every outfit. I did everything. So, and this was a film that's not like two guys sat in a car having a conversation with a bit of a twist. It's like an epic action movie with huge battle scenes and tanks and trucks and explosions and jets and all this stuff. And he's probably got like 120 people in the cast or something like that. So watching it back, I grow as a person through. I can watch it. It's like it's the perfect like testament to my teens and my 20s, that movie. And also everyone's in it. I can say like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Everyone I know is in the movie pretty much. Like people that like my friends who's not even with us anymore, they've died, or they made that it was in the, like, oh, this is one of my real good friends that's in it. He died before we finished the movie, which is sucks that he saw like bits and bats, but he never saw the whole thing. So I've got like me hanging out with my friend on camera. Well, not me because I'm not in any scenes with him, but he's there amongst us. And then like my other friend who there's a big knife in it. He made me that knife in his workshop. He's dead now. But I've got like that in the film. That's like it's just everything that was part of my life for that 10 years is like encapsulated in this movie. So as much as I don't like it when I watch it back because I cringe at stuff like the quality in certain parts and things, as an achievement and as like just an archive of everything in my life at that time, I'm mega proud of all that. It means a lot.
That's super sad to hear about your friends, like rest in peace, of course. And that is awesome what you're saying. It's like it's cemented in history. Like you've always got that now. But I think the biggest thing is it shows your like potential for what is going to be next. You know, it's like now that you've learned all of these things, you know, the next project, like you're going to have like a viewership ready to go, you know.
I'd like to hope so, man. We've started shooting a new movie. It's and this I purposely haven't really put any stuff out because with Unit 11, I hammered every time I was out filming, we're taking selfies with the props and the vehicles and everything. Whereas this one, I want it to like come at people so left field, it's so unexpected when you watch it that I don't really want to put anything out. If you look on my Instagram, there's a couple of screenshots, but that's it. And we've got like a few more days that we need to film on that in a couple of weeks, and then that's done. It's not a feature. It's like it'd probably be like an half an hour movie. 20 minutes. I might even shrink it down. The problem when we released Unit 11 is because it's its own beast. It's not a horror film, but it's horrific. It's an action film, but it feels so gritty and it's like an 80s movie but shot now, but it's not like a parody 80s movie where it's not like Kung Fury or Hubble with a Shotgun where it's like got a lot of like 80s parody stuff. Sorry, I take that back. Hubble with a Shotgun doesn't really do that, but Kung Fury and Turbo Kid and things, they definitely have like this like 80s kind of parody vibe to them, whereas this doesn't. It feels like it. I think it feels like a film that was like buried for 15, 20 years and found. That's what I like about it. But when we put it in festivals, no one wanted to watch it. No one wanted to screen it. Unless I went for like some real low-key festivals, which I didn't want to do. But I think we put it in like 11 festivals and they all rejected it. And it was all down to, they said like, the accents are hard to understand, which is what we talked about earlier. They said, we don't really know how to package it. I think in generally just come down to it was so fucking rough and ready that people were just like, yo, it's impressive, but what the fuck do we do with this thing? So I thought if I do this next movie a lot shorter, then I can put it in festivals as a short. Most festivals have like 10 slots allocated for feature films, and then they have, I don't know, 30 to 40 short slots. So there's a much more chance of getting it in. And this new film looks way better. Like it's shot crazy. We've got a horse in it and all sorts of stuff. And we've like really I really like delved deep into making every single thing in shot look perfect, because when I'm only happy with like 30% of Unit 11. I wanted to be like 80% happy with everything in this movie.
That's dope. Well, and what, I mean, I've got two quick questions just off the back of what you're saying, and then we'll get into the prop
There's
stuff.
no rush, bro. I'm here to talk, so ask me as many questions as you want. I'll ramble. You have to cut me off, man.
I'm not good at that. I like letting people talk. So
time.
Yeah.
Time.
Well, okay. So who are some of your like favorite filmmakers? Just like people that inspire you.
Do you know what? Like my hero is Sylvester Stallone, and like, do you know what? So much so that if I hear someone badmouthing him, I feel like they've called my mum a slag. Like that's how bad it is with Stallone. Like all my life, he's been my hero, and as a kid, he was.
I like him. It's okay.
As a kid, he was like my hero, just as Rambo and Rocky, just as the character. And then as I got older, and I found out more that he's a writer, he's a director, he's done all this stuff. And then now like. He's at a point where like he's wrote and he's directed and all this kind of stuff. So if we're talking like Hollywood icons, it's Stallone. And then Schwarzenegger's a close second, but Schwarzenegger is like a different level of like action hero to Stallone. Schwarzenegger's the kick the door down with the one-liner, shoot everyone and pick the chick up with his massive chest. Whereas I like Stallone is always more like on that underdog shit. Do you know what I mean? Rambo gets fucked up a lot more than John Matrix does. John Matrix never really gets fucked up. Rambo gets battered and then he comes back. And I like the underdog of him. I've always felt like an underdog with my accent and where I'm from and the kind of background I'm from and all that kind of stuff. Especially entering a world of filmmaking that's like dominated by like the upper class kind of thing. It's and people that've been to film school and all these technical people that talk really technical. Oh, what lens are you using? Is it a such and such and this? I'm like, bro, I don't care what lens it is. Let's blow some shit up and film it and make something awesome. So it's always been Stallone. I'm a big fan of like John Carpenter, and then like these other Enzo G. Castellari who made the Bronx Warriors and Walter Hill who made the Warriors, and I love there's so many of these guys. I could go for it, but basically, if you know those kind of films, you know who I'm influenced by. There's another dude though who never gets mentioned called Cliff Twemlow, and again, we could do a whole podcast on this guy. He's died now. He died in like the 90s, but he was a bouncer from Manchester, and he had a friend who filmed wedding videos, and he always had these dreams of being like an action hero and stuff. So he just made his own action movies in Manchester in the 90s, and they used to corner off roads with road block signs and film chase scenes. He used to just go into bars and be like, oh, the manager says that we can film a fight scene, and then while they went to ask the manager, they just film it quick and then get out. These films are so hard to find, but the one that was got the most like notoriety is one called GBH, and that's because it made it onto the video nasties list. You can find it on YouTube, GBH Cliff Twemlow, and yeah, man, they remind me of like what I do. And I spoke to a couple of the people that worked on the film since then, like got them on Facebook and we're friends now, and like they've seen Unit 11 trailer and shit, and they're like, yo, if you was alive at the same time, you would have 100% be working together. And because he was from Manchester, he was northern, but he was wanting to do like big actions, set pieces and things. Like he's a dude that never gets mentioned a lot, so I always like to give that guy a shout. But,
yeah, that's cool.
I love all that. I love all 80s awesome shit. I love 80s awesome shit. As far as I'm concerned, the time of my life ended at like 90. My time that I care about ended at like 98, 99. It'd be pre-millennium, everything, and before I like stuff after. I don't really like the normal world too much. I don't watch normal TV. I watch Gladiators and shit at night. I watch old shit. I like to live in an 80s bubble.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I feel like that. I mean, obviously we have like nostalgia podcasts, but I'm not as much. I like the 80s, but my era is more like the 90s. I think we're the same age.
I'm 33.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But I kind of see it as, so like born in 87, so first 3 years of life, you know, getting to grips with being a human, and then my childhood kind of started in 1990 and then kind of ended in like 2000. So it's kind of like, you know, going into adolescence. So it kind of feel like the 90s was what I know. So I mean, it's funny that, I mean, so what makes you drawn to the 80s, which is like slightly before your time?
I think because it do you know what? Like when you ask me these questions, everything kind of makes it, and I don't even really register it sometimes, but everything kind of like plays out in my life that like this led to battle rap, which got me back, which made me realize I needed to film. I've always been a collector, and my dad raised me on car boots and market stalls and stuff like that. So all my toys as a kid were 80s toys, because my dad would get his stuff from car boots. He'd be bringing home big boxes of He-Man and Thundercats, and I'm like, whoa, these are awesome, and I'd have all that toys. I would get new toys. We would get new toys at Christmas and stuff like that, but throughout the year, every weekend, my dad would come home with toys from the car boot, and it weren't because I was spoiled. It's because they were cheap at the car boot. So I remember.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but can we just explain what a car boot sale is? For most of our listeners are Americans. So.
Okay, are they? It's funny you said that. I just did a video on my YouTube explaining what a car boot is, but it's basically
it's great. Yeah,
basically it's basically like an estate sale, but huge, with hundreds of cars pull up in a field and they sell stuff like a big flea market. But the majority of the people there are not traders like you'd get at a flea market, are the same people every week. They're just people that fill the car with household stuff they don't want anymore. You pay to go and stand in a field. There could be 300 cars and people just sell the household items. And I still go to the car boot every week. I love the car boot. They're not like they used to be. You don't get the good shit like you used to. It's fucking really rare to find like one bashed up He-Man figure now. But I was raised on them as a kid. So I used to get... So whenever I got any money from anyone, like I don't know, my auntie give me some money or my nan or whatever, my mum would always say, you can take it to Toys R Us and buy one toy, or you can take it to the car boot on Sunday and buy 20 toys. So the films I was watching, because my dad raised me on Rockies and Rambos and all that kind of stuff, because my dad loved those kind of films and Warriors and things. The films I was watching were all 80s. The toys I was playing with was all 80s. I'd be at a car boot and it'd be like loads of videos. And my dad would just go get whatever you want. And I'd pick up like Cyborg and Nightmare on Elm Street and all these. And he's just like, and my dad and my mum were like, yeah, watch them. They never cared. My mum and dad never stopped me from watching anything. Again, because they were punks. They were just like, yeah, express yourself. If you want to watch some Return of the Living Dead, watch it. It's an awesome movie kind of thing. They never stopped me watching anything. That's why I love all the 80s stuff. But then like yourself, because I was born in 88, January 88. So then I was raised through the 90s. And that's when I was raised on Mighty Ducks and Hook and Ninja Turtles and Three Ninjas and Home Alone and Sister Act 2 and all these movies that like you've watched as a kid and that you love. And the TV shows, you're watching Gladiators and Catchphrase, Blind Date, all this shit. And then later on, Fought by Hard and all that. Like Saturday night was like the night as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back then. But it's the reason I gravitated so much towards the Mighty Ducks in particular was because, and this is also another thing where I realized how much I enjoyed music as a kid. And this is also something that I've started writing into a movie script because it's the fucking perfect movie script. But I related to the Mighty Ducks so much as a kid because I'm from a council estate, from a poor council estate. All my friends, we wasn't like living on the breadline, but we wasn't living on the posh estates. I saw the posh estates and I saw how those kids were living, and I knew that weren't me. So, and there's a guy who I still speak to him today. He's called Patrick Dwyer, and his brother John, the twin brothers. They used to be in a marching band when they were younger, and then they started up the marching band again when I was like 10 or 11. So he got all these, he just put out, I don't know how I got there. My mum just took me, but they put out these like flyers around and stuff. And they says, we're setting up a marching band where you live in Sheffield. Come and try it, see if you enjoy it. So it sounds like the nerdiest stuff ever, but all the ghetto council estate kids, all my friends from school, the guys, the girls, we're all going to this youth club. And rather than like just going to the youth club and playing football and stuff like that, he turned us into a marching band. And we was called the Forgemen. You can look us up now, the Forgemen. And we started out as just a little ragtag bunch of kids, but we went on to perform at like the NEC Arena and become like the runners-up against the big boys in Coventry who were called Phoenix. And then when I left, they went on to like perform all over the world and become a massive marching band. They like performed with like Dizzy Rascal, and they was in Ian Brown's music video and all sorts of stuff. So I used to play a baritone horn. And so I was on the brass, and it's so when you think of marching bands, you probably think of like these upper class kind of kids doing it. We was all these ghetto council estate kids that had nothing else to do in the evening. So we went to the Forgeman marching band, and the brothers and the friends, they turned us into this dope unit. So as a kid, I didn't even realize that like I was living the Mighty Ducks for real, but in a different way through this marching band. So I wrote it into a script called The Forgeman. This is the first time I've ever even talked about it. The guy who made the marching band didn't even know I wrote it into a script. But I wrote a script about a load of kids in the 90s council estate that get put into a marching band to perform against the UK championships. So I never really realized as a kid why I related to that film so much. But now looking back, I'm like, that's why, because I lived that fucking life, but just in a right different way. That was my first introduction into music, though, innit? Because I was on the baritone horn, but obviously we were all together. But there'd be percussion, and you have the people to spin the batons, and you have your pit, which are all on xylophones, and you just play on everything. But my position was on horn. But I loved the snare drum, and I loved going on the snare drum, and I was good on it, but John were always like, no, bro, you're good on snare drum, but you're so good on the baritone horn. You're like the only good guy on it. You're the best on baritone, on brass. So I need you to stay on that. So I'm like, okay. And then I wanted to, this is, again, he's like the filming stuff, because when I was doing special effects makeup, you're doing all the special effects and then you're on camera, your work's on camera for less than a second, and then people's forgot about it. And when I was on the brass line, I was on bass, I was on a baritone horn. So while someone's like on the bugle, like doing all the cool shit, you're just like, you're playing the bass like a bass guitar. And I'm like, I want to play the fucking sick solo. I want to play the good shit. And I got good on the bugle and shit, just on my own, but on the sopranos, innit? But he was like, no, I need you on the bass. You're the strongest on the bass. I've got to keep you on bass. And that's why I quit in the end, because I'm like, I want to do that. And at this point, I'd done everything. We performed at the NEC, the same arena as the Gladiators, which buzzed me out as well. And we'd gone up against like the guys Phoenix. And while I was in the marching band, we never beat Phoenix. But then years later, when I hooked up with Pat again, and I said, like, did we ever beat Phoenix? He's like, bro, we smashed Phoenix in the end. So we beat like the best guys that we were always shook of. They used to play the Phantom of the Opera theme, and they had this part where they all put their horns down and they would dance with the guard. The drum, I think they were on the drums. They put the drums down, and while the brass played the music, they would do a waltz with the baton girls, and we used to watch it. Oh man, they're so fucking good. Like, but yeah, it's just how dope is that as a fucking movie idea? It's basically the Mighty Ducks up north / This Is England, full Monty. The real story. And so at the end, you can have the bit where we play the credits and you see all the actual footage of the real Forgeman and me in my outfit and all the people that were there. So yeah, man, I'm going on a tangent, but it's just I wanted to talk about that because, well, I didn't even plan to talk about that, but that's why I related to the Mighty Ducks so much growing up.
Well, that's an awesome story. That'd make for a great script. So yeah, you should definitely try and
It's
put
raw.
that into
I've
production.
wrote it, but you'd need like 50 kids and all this stuff, and I don't know. That's one that needs budget, but I think that's like a dead cert banger of a movie. I read the script and I've got tears in my eyes at the end, and I fucking wrote it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them.
That's awesome. And I mean, I think the reason, and you saying that helps you to relate to the Mighty Ducks is I think why those films have such staying power, because I think people can relate to being an underdog in all different aspects of life, whether that be, you know, in relationships, at work, or within a friend
Football
group,
team, anything like that. I think any kind of sport or any kind of community thing you did as a kid, you're going to relate to that in your own way.
And then it shows people overcoming, you know, and winning, which is like the amazing part. I went on a journey inspired by the Mighty Ducks into coaching, like with the Special Olympics, like as coaching basketball.
Wow, no way.
And it was all, and a lot of it was inspired from the Mighty Ducks. So it does. The movies are special. It's an underrated trilogy, but
well, do you know what it was like? That the Mighty Ducks film, I watched them 100 times as a kid, and over the years, every now and again, I'd stick it on in the background and things like that. So it's just like a comfort movie to me. And then when I heard they were doing this new series, and I love Karate Kid as well. I got deep on Karate Kid. I get every reference in the new Cobra Kai series when, like, at the end of that episode when he's talking to that girl and she says that you rescued me, and I'm like, well, I'm not thinking about it, and I'm watching it film and I'm like, no way, I'm watching the series, everything, it hits so good. So when I heard they were doing Mighty Ducks, I'm like, oh man, well, I love Karate Kid, but Mighty Ducks is like my heart, so it's gotta be good. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, where's all the Mighty Ducks? No, I don't like it. I like the Gordon Bombay's back, but it feels like it's a proper different vibe. It's marketed more towards kids. I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like this show. So I put it on. I'm watching Invincible. I'm watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then that came up as it drops today. And I thought, I'll put that on as well. I'm sat down chilling. I'll watch it. And as soon as it started, it's I'm thinking, oh, well, they've got their theme. So straight away, I'm a bit invested. And then within 10 minutes, I loved it. And then Gordon shows up and I'm like, yes, my G, Gordon Bombay, go on. And then I started to enjoy watching that more than I'm on Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I'm like, diehard Marvel. So, and then when I saw a picture go up that some of the old Ducks come back, I'm like, I'm sold. As long as they're there, I just want them there in some form, man. So I when after watching that, a couple episodes of that, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to watch the old movies. So like, I thought 3 weeks ago, I watched 1 a night and I fucking enjoyed them. I think even more than I did as a kid, like especially 1 and 2. With 3 is the one that like, I think like Justin Wong said it perfect. It has such a different vibe. And I think when 3 come out again, because I was not one of these kids on the posh estate, I didn't have Sky growing up. So I didn't even know there was a Mighty Ducks 3 until I was about like 14, 15. I was a bit old for Mighty Ducks 3 at that point, but I rinsed 1 and 2. And yeah, I enjoyed them as much as I did watching them back. Such good full circle movies, and then they get all these guys with different skills, and at the end they all pay off. They're a joy to watch. Even now, at 33, I sat down and I watched them. They were a joy to watch. I had such a good time. Do you know what? Yeah, like you were, I'm sorry to keep going on, but like you were saying earlier about like when your childhood ended and things like that. My childhood has never really ended, and that's because I've refused to let it end. When all my friends are going off and getting married and having kids and moving in with girlfriends and all this stuff, like I never did any of that. I live on my own. I fill my house with toys. I work in the toy industry for my job. I've surrounded myself with all this cool nostalgic shit that I love. And I think that as much as I'm an adult and I've got a mortgage and I have to pay bills and I have to be sensible and not go out and do daft shit like a kid would, I've still never let go of that part of me, because that part of me means more to me than anything else. So that's what it's like. I can sit on my own and have a one-man party watching Mighty Ducks and have the best time ever still at 33. And I love it, man. I don't want that to change.
Yeah, well, and why should it? You know,
I fought against it all my life. When my friends were having kids and stuff, I'm like, they're like, don't you want kids? No, never. Like my first ever girlfriend, I was like so into her. We split up because she wanted to have kids. I'm like, no, I never want to have them. And she's like, you might do in a few years. I goes, listen, I will never want to have them. That was 12 years ago. I don't want to have them now more than I did then. I've got 7 god kids. I've got lots of kids around me that love me, and I buy them toys and buy them sweets and we have a good time. But I've always fought so hard against any kind of responsibility other than my work, because my work, my filming and my toy designing and Slime House and all this takes up every single part of me, and the rest is reserved for enjoying it. not for anyone else, man. So I still try and be normal. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I purposely catered my life to be a certain way. And when my friends come round and they're like, "Oh, you've got it wickedy. I love chilling at your house. You can have all your stuff on the walls, your movie posters, your props. I have all my house nice and tidy. There's no kids' toys messing it up and that." And people say, "Oh, I love it, Theo." And all my friends say, "Bro, don't ever change it. Don't get married. Don't have kids. Just stay what you're doing." Because they say, "I love my family. I wouldn't change it for the rest of the world. But how you live your life, it's like my dream life in like another life, innit? So live it for me." So I live that for all the other people that would like to.
That's hilarious. I mean, that's funny. I mean, you can't see, but this is that the room I'm in now is a room. So I'm married. I have a son, but this room is like my room. It's like my home office, but it's like I spoke to my wife about it and was like, so this is my room. I can do what I want. This room's fine. So this room, all sides of the walls is like floor to ceiling with like nostalgic things, movie posters.
This stuff means a lot to you. You need it around you. And I think some people, especially like girlfriends, who aren't as much into like this kind of stuff because I don't know, girls just seem to like grow up and mature and go off into the world like different to guys do in lots of ways. And I think that some girlfriends, they don't really realize that, like, oh, why do you want to keep them toys for if a kids get rid of them so we can go on holiday? I want to get married or whatever. And some people give into it, but you need to understand how much this stuff means to people. If this is my happiness, it's in my DNA. I need to be surrounded by it. So in this room now, I'll give a little pan if you can have a little pan of what's in here. This is just like one of my. This is just like my main collection house, but like this is my main collection room. But the desk that I'm sat at now is my work desk. I edit my Slimehouse episodes here. I do my toy design in here. I do all my Warhammer painting, my modeling, everything I do here, all my crafting, my work, all takes place at this desk. So this side is all my hard drives, all my tools, everything's set up. But then it's surrounded by all the cool shit because that's what inspires me. It's what I love. It's what makes me feel happy to have that stuff around me. And fortunately, I have my whole house to enjoy it like that and I've got a lot of stuff. I've got lots of stuff in storage that I don't have anywhere to display it. One day I'll hopefully have a bigger house. I've lived here for like 12 years, so it's kind of like cushy how I've got it. But it's important to have that stuff around you, whether it's one room, whether it's one corner, one cupboard. I always say, like, make sure you retain that identity of the stuff that makes you happy, man. Because before you had any of this other stuff, before you had your wife, your kids, your job, all the things now that are important to you, that was the stuff that was your world, innit? So don't forget about it. So and I obviously certainly haven't.
That's true. I mean, I have to say, I mean, my wife is fully on board and understanding and with it. I mean, I did have some of these jerseys in another room at one point. I had them sort of set up. I used to have more of these. I used to have them set up like it was a museum. I had no seats in the room, so you couldn't sit down. You could only stand and look at what's on the walls. And then it was like, okay, well, maybe we do need to move these around so we can, have furniture and things.
Well, my toy room was like this toy room. It used to be those cabinets now. I've just got 4, but I used to have 12 all the way around full of stuff. But you'd come in, you'd look around and then you'd go out. There was no seating in it. So I thought I want to like, when I went self-employed a few years ago, I was like, right, I'm working from home. I want my own work desk set up. I left all the jobs so I could just fully work for myself. I'd got to that point where I could do that. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to set up like a nice work desk. And I'm still tinkering. I've literally just redecorated all this room like 2 weeks ago. And so I'm always like tinkering with like how I want my desk and things. But I think it's a perfect balance if you can get it to have your collection around you, but then your work as well. Because that's the stuff, this is paying the bills. This is the stuff that puts food on the table. And then that money that you've got for your own spends, this is how you enjoy it. And like you'll know if you watch my channel, these toys are not just like something I do as a hobby. Like I go all around the world searching for the dopest shit in Tokyo and America and that. Like this stuff is in my blood. Do you know what I mean? I love it.
I just have to say that's your channel, so Slimehouse TV, it's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
I love the one where this is a few years ago, I think, but you were in Japan and you were trying to find like Godzilla's head on a building.
yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, that was a dope one, and a lot of that stuff I didn't even film really at that time. I didn't even Slimehouse was not even like a toy channel or anything like that. So I just filmed a load of footage that I might use. I don't know. I'll just film it like you do when you're on holiday, but I just go hard. I'm just filming everything. So it wasn't until I got home that I started chopping together into episodes. And that's why it cuts back to me sat at a chair talking about it, like talking head style. I never planned on that. But then that inevitably became a way that I like to do a lot of things. Because rather than try and when I'm out hunting for toys and stuff, I'm not thinking about what to say to camera. So I like to just be able to film me looking for the toys, and then I can sit down, let that process, and then talk to camera about the day and chop it together, which is how they do most TV shows anyway. I got a comment the other day. It's funny because I read the comments and someone said something like, I clicked on this video and I was expecting it to be a vlog, but it wasn't. You've edited it like a movie channel. Not a fan. And I'm like, no, you edited it like TV, not a fan. I'm like, surely that's better that I edited it like more like something you would watch rather than just someone vlogging that you could watch anywhere. I don't know. Everyone like has their own taste, I suppose.
That makes no sense. Surely it's like, well, this is production value you'd get on TV, so this is even better.
Yeah.
But it's specific about something you wouldn't see on TV. So,
well, if anyone wants to see any of that stuff that I get, you can get at me on YouTube or on my Instagram at Theo_Kane_Slimehouse. I'm sure you'll put the links there, but they can see all my collection of stuff. There's years and years of pictures of just the mad shit that I've found and picked up. I don't have a huge following. I had like when I was battle rapping, I had like my following in battle rap, and then when I stopped doing that and I completely switched to like this dude who goes around collecting toys and drawing monsters and things, I lost a lot. I lost like a good few thousand followers off my Twitter that like just wasn't interested in the new stuff that I was doing. But then there's people like yourself, and they're my favorite kind of people that support me and follow what I'm doing because you've been there since day one. When you hit me up and you're like, I've followed you from like the early days to what you're doing now, and that the reason I like that is because it kind of feels that like everything I do, even though it's so different, it's so like branded under that same kind of vibe. And that's what I suppose you can always hope for with everything you do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of a unique thing because, I mean, as much as so the sort of time that you stopped battle rapping was kind of the sort of time where it was running its course with me as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like,
it ran its course in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a thing where I'm not going to say it's like a phase or anything, but I think it can associate with your age as well. You know, as I started getting older and more focused into work, it was kind of like, it's not that I looked down at it or anything like that, but it's kind of like, oh, this was a cool thing from then, but I'm kind of now
of course we
mature.
We mature as much as I live like a kid. We mature in certain ways, and there'd be things that I would say in a battle rap then that I would never say now, because I was a different person then. It was 12 years ago, some of that stuff. 10 years ago, I was 20. Do you know what I mean? I'm 33 now and stuff. So, like, yeah, we do mature in certain ways. And then there's only so many times you can watch two people ripping the shit out of each other before you just become numb to it. I've heard everything you could say that was horrendous. I'm numb to it, and it's why now I'm not really offended at anything. I don't get offended at stuff because I just understand words are just words, and like they did. Well, put it this way: 15 years ago, if someone said, "Theo, I heard someone were talking shit about you," I'm like, "Oh, who are they? I want to go. I want to go and see them. I'm put them on the spot and ask them what they've been saying." Now, if someone said to me, "Theo, I heard someone were talking shit about you," I'm like, "Leave them to it. I'm not bothered. What did they say?" There's somebody they said. Oh, they said you're an idiot. I don't know. You said you're an idiot. You collect toys and you need to grow up. I go, yeah, I probably do. I don't care. I don't bother. Stuff washes over me now. I never care about any bad comments, any bad fucking messages I get from any weirdos or anything. But sorry, tangent again. But you're right. We mature and we just we move on from things. And I think at the time, battle rap was very good for a lot of people. It also helped a lot of people build up the confidence. That you could tell there were a lot of people in there that were like social pariahs. They would have never kissed a girl, never had many friends, but they found this mad little niche scene where they were respected as like a king because they could write good bars. And the good thing about battle rap, it didn't matter if you was ghetto, if you was posh, fat, thin, black, white, guy, girl. If you had bars, you had bars, and that's all that mattered. And so you could get these like a little sneaky geeky guy that with a posh accent that you would never associate with battle rap, who could write the hardest stuff because he was a good writer. Look at like Shuffle T and Marlowe. Like you'd never think they are battle rappers, but they become like the top of the game because people respected they could write, they got bars, and that's all that matters in battle rap. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you look weird, that's goes in your favor. It goes in your favor. You look weird. People remember you.
That's true. And yeah, I mean, I think it still has its place and everything. But like you said, I think you sort of can mature out of it, or some people don't, or whatever. But I mean, for me, it was kind of like, oh, that was a cool thing there, and I'm kind of now moving on into
yeah, we move on.
But I think that just, you know, coincidentally, with the things that you moving on to are things that I also have like passion for like nostalgia, but also something that I like is just when other people are passionate about what they're passionate about. And I think what comes across clearly with you in all of your videos and now today is you're incredibly passionate about these things. And then when you hear that, you kind of, it's endearing. You're kind of like, oh, that's dope, because I'm passionate about things as well. And it might be that we're not passionate about the same things. You know, fairly certain that you're not passionate about One Tree Hill, but at the same time,
I don't know what it is. I know it's a show, that's it.
But,
I never watched.
But there's things that you would have mentioned that I've never heard of, but you're passionate about it, so I respect.
I love it.
Fandom,
you told me that after this you're gonna like watch One Tree Hill with your Patreon followers. I think that's fucking awesome. Like, I wish I could get enough people to sit and watch fucking Gladiators or some shit with me. Good, that was into it enough, that niche thing. Like, that's so cool, man. Even though it's not my thing, I think it's awesome. I buzz off other people buzzing out about things, and I think that's like a testament to when someone's not bitter, because some people hate to see other people having fun if they're not. There's like a line Tony Soprano says in The Sopranos, because I love that as well. And he says, like, sometimes I'll see someone smiling and I just want to smash his face in for having a better day than me. Why is he so happy and I'm not? And I think that when people just shit on other people's like passions and hobbies for no reason, he just says more about themselves than them. I don't know what One Tree Hill is. I couldn't tell you one thing about it other than it's a show. But the fact that you got guys and Patreon followers that you sit and watch it with at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night, I think, on Thursday, whatever it is, I never know what day it is. I think it's fucking dope, man. And in the internet culture now is so much just to shit on everyone and pull everyone down and cancel everyone and just everyone. People, I don't watch film reviewers where they just rip the shit out of stuff. I don't like when you watch someone, they're like, oh, I watched this new film. Let me tell you how bad it was. I don't want to hear how bad it was. Tell me about something you like. The world's full of negative shit. Tell me about something that makes you happy. Tell me about your favorite pot noodle, if it means that you're going to tell me about something that you like rather than something you don't like. I don't want to hear negative shit like that, because the world's full of it. But it's funny you say about the passion thing, because that's the one comment that everyone says to me, no matter what it is I'm doing, no matter what video it is, because I do lots of different various types of videos. The one thing that people always say to me, which I'm only like really registering in the last year, is that your passion shows through. People say, oh, Theo, we love your passion, how you talk about toys or how you talk about this or whatever. There's always passion in it. I think all you can hope for in life is to be real. And that's why hip hop probably meant such a big thing to me as well. You just keep it real. You be real to yourself. If you're a posh little neaky kid, but you've got bars, just battle rap as that posh little neaky kid. Grief the other guy for being poor and you was rich and you never had to struggle growing up and he did. Use it to your advantage. Keep it real. I just love people that are real. I don't care what you're into. If you're passionate about it, as long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not hurting anyone or hurting any animals, then I love what you're doing.
Yeah, same, completely. Well, let's go into some props.
Some props time. Yeah.
Show us some cool stuff.
Yeah. Let's look at some stuff. This show's called Mad Props after all. So I only just remembered that this show was about props like 5 minutes before we came on air. So I didn't really have a chance to grab anything other than that was just what around. But I've got a few things down here that I think you'll find quite fun. We talked about Gladiators quite a bit, and I'm soon to do a little Gladiators episode on my Slime House. I've got every toy that they released pretty much boxed and stuff. So I'm going to do like a wicked review of all the old Gladiator toys, talk about why it means so much to me. Now, I recently got this through, and this is just something I got, which I recently picked through. So you remember these?
That's
when you used to watch this, when you used to watch the telly, when you used to watch it on telly, all the little kids had these in the crowd, like that, let's get ready to rumble. Or when someone would get dropped off the fucking hang tough or something, they'd be like, another one bites the dust, and everyone had these things. So I recently got that. That's like one of the, you would get that if you went to go and watch it live at the NEC, which I never did, so I never got one. But that's a dope thing. And I bet if I did go, my mum and dad would be like, don't get one of them. You could get one at Car Boot for half price. So that's a dope thing that I were really happy to get that. I just got that off eBay recently. It was only cheap. It was only like £20, but like I thought, I can't do a review without getting that. So that's a nice thing. This is something that's not an actual prop, but it goes into like well, it is a prop, but it's just a repro prop because you can't actually get these. One of the things that I'm well into, as you'll know, is Godzilla. If you watched any of my Japan episodes or anything, you'll know how much I love Godzilla. And my favorite Godzilla character is a robot called Jett Jaguar. He's the most ridiculous looking thing ever. But as a kid, like he's still to this day like my favorite character on film. If we're talking about like sci-fi characters, and I recently started making his helmet. So this is his helmet from the Jett Jaguar's helmet. I found a file online of the 3D file. We had to adjust it a little bit and had it blown up, and then I got my friend to 3D print it me. I need to cut the back off because it currently doesn't fit on your head that way. The original one had like latches that they actually just screwed in with screws, because I've got an old reference book I got from Japan of a breakdown of his whole costume. So if you know, it's one of those things, if you didn't know what it was, it's just going to look like some weird Power Ranger helmet. But if you know what it is, you're going to be like, fuck, that's unbelievable. Because because you cannot buy the helmet. I've never seen anybody cosplaying properly or anything. So I've got to like Dremel the back out and I've got to change some stuff. But as a shell, that to me is like a holy grail item to own. And it needs to be sprayed silver and it needs all these eyes making and things. And I've got to work out how to put my head in it. But it's huge, man.
But what's it made out of?
It's filament. There's two different types of 3D printers. You can print resin, which is good for high detail, smaller stuff. And then if you're printing machine parts, helmets, armor, they print it in filament. But it's rock hard. It's like a crash helmet. It's like because I've got like some hockey helmets and things. It's very similar to a hockey helmet. But that needs some work. But that'll be a project that I'm going to put on Slimehouse. That again, I got that delivered 2 days ago, so that's just why it's to hand. But I thought it would just be a fun thing to show.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
This is another nice thing that I have downstairs from the actual movie. I told you that I'm a big fan of Stallone, and I did fix this thing because it was ever so slightly broken when I got it, and over time it's broken a little bit more. But not always considered one of his best movies or the best comic adaptation of the source material. But this is one of the police helmets from Judge Dredd. Screen used this from the actual movie.
Wow.
And a guy had this and he just knew I was a big fan, so he gave it me. I've also got Judge Stallone's Judge Dredd helmet, his shell at my friend's house that I haven't picked up yet. But he said when I completed Unit 11, he'd give it me because he worked on the movie. So this film was shot in England and there's still random bits about you can find from the movie. There's like a house in Manchester with like 3 of the cars from the movie just on his front garden. I don't know why, but now and again at fairs and Comic Cons, the big Judge Dredd cars are just there because there's just these props knocking about in England. And that's a screen used helmet, which is funny because this is before we would have done any 3D printing. It's all made from fiberglass. You can see the little imperfections where it's not quite symmetrical and things. But when I got it, one of these was broken on it. So I rebuilt all that with milliput and sanded it down and put a screw in it where the screws fell out at some point. But that's another nice piece from a movie. And okay, so we was talking about Unit 11. We could talk about some Unit 11 props. I have here actually Unit 11, which is just a shitty piece of. It's a really shitty thing looking back at it now. But that is Unit 11 there, and it did at some point. I think it's run out now. There was a little thing that flashed, which is just from a dog. You just put it around your dog's neck when he goes for a walk at night, so you don't lose him. And it's just made from Jubilee Kips, and it's a pipe that you put golf balls in that I cut down and then put pipes on either side and stuff. And the Unit 11 used to be liquid in there. Now it's just solid. It was made from slime and highlighter pens. But I always keep that there as my little memory of making that movie up. Like I could ever forget, but it always is on my desk. And then this is from the new movie, which when you watch the movie, you'll understand why that red ribbon is so... it's like a piece of red rag that's ripped off someone's dress, and you'll know why that's so important. But I didn't even mean to wrap that around there. I just had the rag in a bag after filming. And when I was tidying up, I just wrapped it around there and put it on the side. And then my friend come round, Judd, who makes movies with us. He was like, oh, that's wicked. You've got like the new and the old movie combined there. But it was like kind of based on like a Ninja Turtles ooze kind of stuff. You can see, if you see it close up in the film, you'll know how bad it looks. Because I was like, I was only young when I made it. It was before 3D printing. If I went back and made it now, if I went back and made that whole movie now, I would do everything different, but it wouldn't be the same movie. And I wouldn't have 10 years to spend on it.
But that's dope. That's like the the hero prop. That's like the hero.
Yeah.
Prop
So, but there was never another one made. It was just usually I'd have a hero and a stunt. There was just that. So I was constantly like retouching up the paint on it and things. The most impressive thing I've probably got is here, which is if you've seen the movie, you'll have seen this. If not, it's still pretty fucking impressive. And I won't be able to get it on camera, but it's Siren's Barrett rifle, which is a full size Barrett rifle that I made.
You made this?
Made it, yeah. I made all the guns in Unit 11. I mean, where are you going to get that in England other than like a fucking £500 airsoft gun? So yeah, I made this. I'm gonna. I should probably shut my curtain because a neighbour will see me looking. Call the police, which has happened to me lots of times. I got arrested. We got arrested like 8 times making Unit 11 just from having prop guns in places that we shouldn't have them. But I'll talk a bit about how I made it because it's a prop show after all. If you want me to go a little bit deeper, on my YouTube channel, we did 3 episodes of a show called The Debrief, where I talked a lot about where I make the movies. You've seen them, yeah?
Yeah, I love it. And
like Slack's big grenade launcher that twists and breaks everything down into 2. Like that was all what I made, and I explained how I made it. But this is worse for wear. The scope was longer. It's broke off somewhere in my house in one of the cupboards, and it was an airsoft gun that I wrapped a lot of mud rock round. Got some box pipe. that's some rails that you use when you're like putting shelves up. My dad is actually one of the things he does is he does scrap weigh-ins. So he used to always get lots of scrap metal, and I used to dig through it. The A-frame is off a whirly gig that you have in your garden. I think that's what you call them, those big things you put washing on and spin round. It's just made from random shit. Like, that's a VHS tape, and all this is all pipe and box that I cut and things. But it's fucking heavy, and like it's super impressive. And the chick that has it in the movie, she's a mute. She doesn't speak, so I wanted her to have like the biggest fucking gun in the movie. So there we go. I can't even really get it on camera. I'd have to like fucking take a huge step back. But if you
That's
see,
awesome.
Watch the movie and you can see it use it. It did have like a big suppressor on the front, a big box suppressor that I never really thought looked very good, so I took it off. But I have shit like that. That's just stuff I grabbed within like 5 minutes of me remembering. I just quickly went in the cupboard and pulled that out. I wanted to get Slacky's grenade launcher as well, but he was too far gone in the cupboard.
Well, I mean, as a
props,
they're dope. I love it. Yeah, mad props.
Mad props.
But I mean, as someone that collects these things, I mean, how valuable are props to you? I mean, like, does that give you like an adrenaline rush, like to have something that's from a film that you love, or is it not so much? And you know, it's more into like collecting the sort of the memorabilia, the toys and stuff that go with it.
It's weird. It don't even really sink in. Looking at it like, oh shit, this is from that movie that I used. Some people like they go so hard on the props. I've seen some of the people you interviewed. You had that dude who collects Hook props, and he's got Pan's Soda Rufio, because that was another one of my favorites as a kid. Pan. I used to want to be Rufio because my name was Theo. I wanted to be Rufio. I used to. Yeah, he's got some dope shit. Like I love movie props. They're kind of thing that's like, it's a market that's like, you're spending a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? In that market. And fuck it, if I was a millionaire and I had a mansion, I'd have all the dopest props from everything. I'd have full size Ed 209 if I could and shit. But I like it, and I delve into props, and I've got little bits, and obviously I've got all the props I made for my own movie. Looking at that I look at that and I just think, tons of fucking work on Sundays filming it and constantly touching it up and things like that. But I do enjoy looking at it and thinking, yeah, man, I created that and it's in the movie and things. So I am more into the like nostalgia, memorabilia and toys and stuff more than I am into props. But again, it's all one. It's all just cool objects that we own that hold some kind of memory, some kind of energy to them that they all have in their own different ways. And I just love cool shit. I just love cool shit. Some people come in my house and they're like, fuck me, that toy, I've not seen it for years. I forgot all about it. It's the tiniest little thing and I've got 1,000 of them, but that's the little one that they had that they remember. Like these things, Battle Beast, I'll just grab one. I've got a shelf full. I've got like nearly all of these, but these like little animals in armor. And as a kid, you might have had 2 or 3, but the kind of thing you keep in your pocket and you take around. And so people that have like weird nostalgic attachments to like those smaller little minifigures and stuff, like, oh, I got him in a box of cereal. Not them, because they weren't in cereal. Fact. But like if a monster in my pocket or something like that, a boggling, it could be something small, but you remember it because it was in cereal. You could take it to school in your pocket and things. And yeah, everyone has like their own little attachments to things in their own way. And I do love movie props, and I would have way more if I could ideally. And I suppose the kind of props I'd like as well, it wouldn't be like, oh, I want this from a really, I want like RoboCop's helmet screen use from the movie. That would be dope. But I'm happy with a repro one if it looks the same. I prefer like a really random obscure prop from like a fucking old 70s Italian action post-apocalyptic movie that no one's ever heard of. And that would mean more to me because it was so obscure. I love obscure stuff. And I'll like for years I was collecting all the Masters of the Universe figures. I spoke about this again recently on a video, and this was like, I was collecting them, I was obsessed with them, I needed to have them all. And then nowadays, like you can go to Smith's and buy Masters of the Universe new figures and things. And soon as something like becomes new again and cool again and popular, I don't like it as much. I like it in my own way, but I don't feel the need to hold on to it as much because I kind of feel like it's flown the coop, it's found its audience again, and it's off and away. I like the stuff that's like, I'm an underdog. I like the underdog, weird, obscure stuff. I like the toy that no one's ever fucking heard of. I like the thing that only 3 people talk about. And I do think that about like the Mighty Ducks show, because like Cobra Kai, everybody's talking about it. But when it first dropped, no one was talking about it. I was telling people, have you watched Cobra Kai? What's that? I tell them what it is. Oh, where is it? It's on YouTube Premium. oh, I might watch it at some point. And then as soon as it drops on Netflix, everyone's obsessed with it. I feel like if Mighty Ducks maybe dropped on Netflix, then more people would be watching it because everyone seems to have Netflix. But I feel like at the minute it's a bit of an underdog show. No one I know is really talking about it. You're the first guy I've been able to have a Mighty Ducks conversation with in years. I want it to get popular. I want to be able to go in Disney store and buy a Mighty Ducks hoodie.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that new show for hours because, I mean, as much as it's really good, there are parts where there's bits that I wish that they delved into a little bit more, just like in some of the nostalgia. But I know that the reason that they could only bring some of the original Ducks back was all a COVID thing because they were filming it during COVID. So that when they went out there, they had to quarantine for a month before they filmed just to film that one episode. So they couldn't get like Joshua Jackson and, Kenan Thompson and some of the people that are, massive still.
Well, I kind of feel that like if this everything now is a potential franchise. If this does well, then they'll do more. And if they brought back all the Ducks in the first season, you've got nothing to build up to. You got nothing to get into. I learned this when I filmed Unit 11 because every scene I'm in, I was like shouting. I was this angry guy, and then after I'm like, I shout in every scene. There's no scene where like I build up to it. So now if I were doing this shit again, like I would, if you start shouting straight away, you've got nothing to work to. So you don't want to blow your load all in the first series. I thought they brought some dope people back. The only thing I was disappointed with is when I watched the Justin Wong YouTube that he doesn't really do all those spins. In that new episode, he does them all, and the camera doesn't cut. So I thought, oh fucking hell, maybe he really does that shit in real life. He was in the film. So what did they like? Digitize his face on someone to do it or something? Because the camera doesn't cut. I swear it don't cut.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures of Justin with his stunt double. So I don't know. It must. Yeah, maybe they're doing.
I need to watch it back and see if they did a sneaky cut that I didn't know about because it seemed like he skated out onto the ice and he does well, you'll know what it's called when he says a twisting back axle and all this. Yeah. Dope shit. So I'm like, oh fuck, maybe like he really does that in real life. But that's the thing I was disappointed after watching that podcast. I'm like, oh, so he didn't really do that. I thought he did. But I think that when they like tap into the nostalgia, like the other day they was talking about the last episode, they put that guy in goal. Him who's dope with his hands but can't move his feet good. Yeah. And he's talking about goalie. I just wanted him to say, like, I once knew a goalie. He was the best goalie ever. But when we met him, he wasn't. Goldberg was his name. Not something like that. And they'd be like, oh, Goldberg! Just the little things where you just want them to mention it more, but then we have to also watch it knowing that they haven't made it for us. It's for a new generation, and it's for us as much as it is them. But like it is for us, but it's more to like, it's its own beast now. It's its own thing. The fact Gordon's in it, and he does it. He talks about enough stuff. He mentions hands and he mentions stuff. There's still at the Hendrix Arena and all this shit. So he taps into enough. But I think that no matter what they did, you'd always feel like, oh, but what if they got this guy? What if they brought back all the Hawks? And you could go forever. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's really nailing it.
That's the tragedy, though. I agree with everything, but the one thing that really is unforgivable is what they did to the Hawks. So they brought the Hawks back. Shit
now, aren't they?
It is not that logo. Like this jersey is the coolest jersey I've ever. And they made the jerseys kind of like garbage.
They wear a different color now, but I suppose you might kind of see that like. The only way I saw it is it was just like a funny thing that like after they beat them, they just got run into the ground and they were just never good anymore. They ended up with this little shitty team. I know what you're saying. It would have been cool for them to come back as like, oh, they're the fucking big nemesis. I don't know where the show's gonna go. I can't imagine they call them the Don't Bothers forever. Like I can't imagine that they're gonna keep the name the Don't Bothers forever. Maybe they are.
That bothered me. It bothers me. It's like give them a cool name.
It does seem like they take. At minute, I understand they're not taking themselves seriously. They're just having fun, but they've got to get to a point. You never know it comes to a point where they find out that because he called them the Ducks, Gordon Bombay has the right to call his team the Ducks, and it could be that like he takes the name back and then they become the Ducks again and wear the old jerseys and they make it about how it were. Do you know what I mean? I might have just rewrote the franchise. I just thought of that here on the spot. I swear to God. But something like that would be like a wicked game turner. Do you know what I mean? Because at the minute it's like Cobra Kai they've done like the role reversal thing, and I get it. But the essence of that is the Ducks, and they can't be called the Don't Bothers forever. It's like in Cobra Kai, they can't be called Eagle Fang Karate forever because it's a funny name and it works I can understand why they've done it in that point in time, but we need to see the ducks, man. We don't want to see the ducks as these dickheads. The ducks are the ducks in it. So I hope that they do something where Gordon looks into. He's got all them papers on his desk. Oh, what's this? It says that you've got the rights and it was never renewed. So technically, you still own the name. He could take all the money back for the stuff he's owned and get him a sick team. And
that would work if they have because then they could like change, in the second movie where they change the jerseys halfway through, they could do something like that and come out with like the, the logo you've got there, the original ducks.
Well, this is the thing where you get into fan theories, you start getting hyped about shit that probably isn't going to happen. I do this with Star Wars and everything. I'm oh fuck, what if this happened in next film? And it's fucking nothing what I wanted and I don't like it. So try not to think into that stuff too much. But I like to think that they're not the don't bothers forever, because they're going to get to a point where like, no, you do bother, you do matter, and this is who you're destined to be. The Ducks are only the Ducks when Bombay's fucking leading them. So we'll see. Now he's the leader. Who knows what'll happen? But I think there's 2 or 3 episodes left, isn't there? It's like a 10 episode thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There's plenty of time. It always ends and I'm like, oh shit, man, I want a little bit more.
Well, we're working towards getting so coming up next on the podcast, we've got Scott White, who played Gunnar Stool in Ducks 2, and he was in Ducks 3 as well. Our guy from Iceland with the long hair.
Yeah, but he plays a different character in Ducks 3, don't he?
That's it. Yeah. You know. And
you lost it for yourself. It's that guy, right?
Yes. And he's awesome. He's so cool. And he's a voice actor. He's actually like the voice of Crash Bandicoot.
No way.
And he does loads of stuff with The Sims. Like he's awesome. But we're also trying to get on Steve Brill, who's the developer. He wrote the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's brought it to the TV show. So that's the kind of like the goal, is to try and get him on the podcast. And then I can say, hey, man, what are you doing to the Hawks? Like,
because I suppose at the minute, like if you went into, let's say you'd never watched it before, you never watched Mighty Ducks, you was a kid, you go into the Disney store, you see the ducks, they're kind of like the bad guys. You ain't really good at, and I don't want to rock a Don't Bothers top. I like that they have this lace up at the front. They got a hoodie on even or something like that. It looks like a hoodie, like laces at the front. They're like dope jerseys and stuff. But I don't want to say Don't Bothers on it. It got to say Ducks. Ducks is Ducks, in it. And even like to the cartoon and everything. Here come the Mighty Ducks. The Ducks are the heroes, man. That's who you want. So I think eventually they're going to make that transition into thing. They did it with Cobra Kai eventually. Like, you're seeing Danielson as this dick and this arrogant, and now it's like gone full circle that it's like he's the good guy again and Kreese is the bad guy he was supposed to be. Who knows what they'll do with this show? Who knows what they'll do with it? But Disney in the last few years, they've fucking smashed everything they do, and I reckon that if they can make more, they can keep it going. I just want it to be popular. I want more people to be watching it so that they do more series and we do more seasons. And if you're doing any more podcasts where you want to talk about ducks, if you're doing a watch through, you want to watch through and talk about it after anything, I'm down, bro. I love this shit. And you're the only person I've ever spoken to in years that cares about the ducks. Like, I speak to people and I go, do you watch Mighty Ducks as a kid? Yeah, I loved it, man. I watched it all the time. You watching that new show? Oh, I'm not bothered. I just like old ones, innit? So I think it's a dope thing, and I just want it to grow more. There's so much potential, man.
We'll have to get you on with Connor and Aaron at some point, because so Connor's the guy that was on with when we had Justin on, and he has the biggest collection of Ducks jerseys.
Crazy shit,
things.
Right?
Yeah, and then Aaron, who's the guy that has Hook Sword, he's also got loads of stuff as well, and we've kind of formed this like bond around sort of just being obsessed with the Mighty Ducks.
You do. You meet them people that's into that thing, and then you're just like a kindred spirit. I feel like that. I feel like me and you've got a lot in common, man. And this is the first time I've ever spoken to you, but I feel like we must have known each other ages. If you were there when I battled Madness and you followed my career now, you love Mighty Ducks and Three Ninjas and shit. It's just what happens, isn't it? Yeah. These niche things, you just gravitate to other people that's into them. So that's cool that you've met these other guys that says go hard as you do with the props.
Yeah, same. And it's just like we've said the whole way through, it's just like positivity in collecting and being passionate about these things. It's awesome. I mean, so we're gonna have to have you on again, because we need to know about all this other stuff as well. We need to know like what like your favorite toy lines are. I mean, I don't want to steal too much of that content, because a lot of that you've got it all on your channel already. So I want
stealing nothing. And I talk about it all day. Whenever I'd go on a podcast, it's always the host of the podcast. It's like, right, we're gonna have to wrap it up. I'll talk all day, man. I'm set. I work for myself. I live on my own. I can talk about this shit every night, whenever. Like I manage my time how I choose to, and I love talking about this shit with like-minded people. I enjoy having a conversation. It's so rare nowadays that you can have a conversation with someone. Everyone's just sat on the fucking phone. Like you can't even show someone like a movie trailer or play them a song with that and be like half invested in scrolling Facebook while they're looking at it. Like I enjoy conversation. I'm old school, man. Like anytime you want me on to talk about this shit or anything, just holler me in it. I'm there. I think this podcast's wicked. I love what you're doing, and some of the guests you've got on are like unreal. So far, you've had Averman, you've had Kenny Wu, you've had Lisa DiMarino from Three Ninjas. I just call them by the names from the shows and the films.
Which that's Emily from Three Ninjas.
Is it Rocky Loves Emily? So who's Lisa DiMarino? What's that off now?
I don't
Lisa
know.
DiMarino. That's another one of these. Someone will watch this and know. Yeah, Rocky Loves Emily. That was right. I don't know why I said Lisa DiMarino. What is that off? I mean, that's going to wind me up now. I need to find out what it's off. But it's something very similar, like this. They sing it in a film to someone.
It does sound familiar. I'm not sure what it's from, but yeah, that one was that one's crazy because that's the first time she's ever done an interview about that film ever.
Wow.
And she's a really big writer in Hollywood now. Like she writes for like the CSI TV show and loads of other stuff.
I love it when they do that. Like he was saying. Justin Wong that he's got on and now he does sound engineering and all that, and it's like so cool that these guys are still about and but they're still like they're still there to just like pick up and do the show. When he said like, oh, if they ask me back, I'll be there in a heartbeat. Like I love it, man. And I like that you said that because of COVID, that's why they couldn't get everyone there because they're having to quarantine around schedules and things. That it makes me hope that we can see more of that. When you saw Connie and that, and they're still together, and you've got Averman there, and he's like, you still talk like that, and the only thing that was disappointing is that like they didn't all stay playing hockey or something. You wanted them to like at least a couple of them be like, oh yeah, we play pro hockey now. I'm in hockey. I'm still in that field. Like Averman drives a fucking limo now. You think after they all got scholarships, man? They had scholarships. That's like when you're certified, isn't it?
You would have thought that like Adam Banks would have played pro or something.
Well, we don't know if we've not had thingy back, have we? He's fucking
Conway.
I thought of Conway, but then there's a rapper Conway, and he fucking. I had Conway, and I'm just seeing this rapper. So yeah, we've got Conway and shit. So I'd like to think that, like, yeah, maybe if he comes back, he is a pro player. Who knows? Who knows how they do it?
But you know a crazy one that we, because I actually just dumped loads onto YouTube today of our back catalogue because I
saw you put loads up.
Yeah, we had loads that we just had the audio of. We didn't ever record the video because I'm stupid. But we had we did almost 4 hours with Raul D. Lewis, who plays Junior Bevel in Cool Runnings. Do you remember Cool Runnings?
Yeah. It's one of I never went hard on Cool Runnings, but it was the film that, like, when you went around your friends' houses, they'd put it on and stuff. So I've seen Cool Runnings. I don't go hard on it like I do Mighty Ducks, but yeah, of course, I know he is.
He was awesome, and we did we went through scene by scene. I had it all written out, and we talked about every scene. And we had, have you seen The Little Giants?
Little Giants, that's got Miguel, hasn't it? Who can't stop. He can't stop.
That's the Sandlot.
Sandlot. So what's Little Giants?
Little Giants is it's American football, and it's got Rick Moranis in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't. That's one of them. I think like I've seen it on a tape as a kid, but I didn't go hard at it. Sandlot is even one of them I didn't see that much. Do you know what? Because I didn't grow up with Sky and stuff, and like back then you couldn't just go on the internet and buy a film on eBay like you can now or Amazon. A lot of this stuff, like, you'd know the trailer off by heart because the trailer played on the same tape as something you watched all the time, and that's why I knew Sandlot. But same with Mighty Ducks was called The Champions, weren't it? The Champions in England. So I saw the trailer for it years before, and then when I saw there was a Mighty Ducks movie on TV, I watched it, and 10 minutes in, I'm like, this looks like that Champions film that's been on my tape I've watched loads of times. But yeah, so you had that guy on from Cool Runnings and the guy from Little Giants.
Yeah, we've had a few other people. We had Too Small from Hook, who was one of the Lost Boys.
Which one?
Is the tiny one?
Tiny one, yeah, little scruffy kid.
He holds Robin Williams' face. He was awesome. Everyone's been really awesome. It's just I do this just because I love having these conversations, and then hopefully other people enjoy hearing them that feel the same way. But it's such I feel really lucky, just that people want to do it. And like you, I really enjoy just old school conversations. I have to ask you, as a Stallone fan, one of my favorite, actually, I'm going to say it, my favorite Stallone movie of all time is Demolition Man.
The
How do
Demolition
you
Man
feel
goes
about that
hard,
one?
man. I love Demolition Man. It goes hard. It's dope. It's a dope movie. It's what I mean. I follow everything he does religiously, and he's always talking about how he wants to do another one with Simon Phoenix coming back and all this shit. I don't know how it'd work, but he's always talking about he because he obviously I don't know how that'd work, but yeah, that's one of them that I'd love to see come back. And that's why, like, when I watch the Expendables now, I love them so much because they're bringing all these guys back that were adversaries in other films. Now we're teaming up. I love that shit, man. I go hard on Stallone.
Yeah,
So that Demolition Man's your favorite Stallone movie?
I think so. I mean, I love
Spartan.
yeah. I really like is it Lock Up or Locked Up? I can't. When he's in prison.
No, Lock Up is a dope movie. It's fully underrated. There's like 3 different eras of Stallone for me. There's like the underdog era, and that's when he done First Blood, the first Rocky film, when he's really starting out, he's early in his career. And then you've got like Hollywood star, and that's when he's doing Cliffhanger and Demolition Man and Rocky 3 and 4. And that's when he's so shredded, and he's and that's when he's like he couldn't do wrong. And then there's the era after when, well, I suppose there's 4 because you've got all films like Driven and Get Carter and all these ones that didn't really do too well. Like one of his last ones that like was a really good movie that I always loved, Daylight, when it was like a disaster movie.
I've got it. I love that film.
Dope movie. There's no villain in that film. The villain is just like the bomb that happened, the collapse that happened. And then you've got the era now where he's older now and he's coming back and showing people he's still got it and shit with the Creed movies and Rambo Last Blood and the Expendables and that.
So
I love them. They just said that he's not going to be in Creed 3. I goes, I won't watch it then. I don't watch it. Creed needs Rocky in it. I won't watch it because them films they were ones like the Mighty Ducks. I'm telling people, let's go watch Creed. I don't want to see that because it's got Stallone in it. It's fucking Rocky. It's part of the franchise. You've got to see it. It's Rocky coming back. And they're like, nah, I don't want to watch it. So I went on my own and cried in the cinema watching it. Same with sequel. I went and watched it and cried on my own watching it in the cinema. So dope movies, and I don't want to see a third one where it starts and if it fucking starts and it's at his funeral, I will be so fucking wound up. I don't want nothing like that. I don't kill Rocky. I don't think he would either. I think that character means too much to him. That he, you'll know with Stallone, he doesn't like killing the characters. That means a lot to him. It's like killing a part of himself. So I don't think I'd be very surprised if Creed 3 starts with Rocky's death. I think it would just be that like he's moved into MMA or something different. I don't know, and Rocky can't train him in that anymore because it's a different thing. And even if Rocky's got one fucking small scene in it over a Skype call or something, and Rocky don't know how to use it, and he's like talking himself, I don't mind, man. You've got that franchise. He's the heart and soul of that franchise. Do as many spin-offs as you want, but don't forget my guy, Stallone, Rocky.
Totally. The first Creed movie. I was watching it in the cinema. We were watching it like in the morning, like at like 11 in the morning, and yeah, I was like tearing up in the cinema, and like because and he got an Oscar nomination.
For best supporting actor.
I think I can't remember who his competition was, but I remember feeling like he was robbed. I felt like he should have.
Well, I swear he won like a Golden Globe for the same thing, but he just did it. He was Oscar nominated. But that scene, how they do like the mirror of this, the best part. I mean, obviously, as soon as you find out that Rocky's got cancer, I'm just watching it, and I'm starting to cry straight away, and I'm thinking, oh, bro, don't do it. Don't let him go out like that. And I remember when I went to Japan with my ex who was on the plane and I watched it. I'd seen it 3 or 4 times, but it still gets me. At this point, Creed 2 had never come out either. So you never, at the end of the first film, you never even know if he beats cancer. You don't know. You know he's got it and he's fighting it. So I'm watching it and I'm bawling my eyes out on plane watching it. I watched it again on a plane and she looked at me, she goes, "Fuck's up with you?" And I'm just like, you don't understand. Like, she'd not watched these films at that point. I watched them with her after, but I'm like, you don't understand like how fucking much this fucking character means to me. And then when they do the parallel, and instead of running with all the kids, he's running with the biker boys on the quads and the bikes, and they've got that, it's that Creed theme, which is done by the same dude who does the Mandalorian theme, which is proper tribal, and then there's like some whaley singing over it. He fucking gets me, man. And then he looks up and Rocky's in the top window, like fighting the cancer, and I love it. And then when number 3, when 2 come out, now when I watch Creed 1, it doesn't get me as much because I know that Rocky doesn't die. He's all right. He's in Creed 2. But there was like a good few years where I couldn't watch that film without crying because I'm like, maybe, bro, this might be the last time we ever see Rocky. If they do Creed 2 come out, and he wasn't in the trailer that much, and I remember watching it in the cinema, and you see Rocky in the start in the in the locker room with him, and he's before his fight at the start of the film, and he's telling him, and I'm like, please don't let this be like a flashback or like in his head, and then it pans and Rocky's not there anymore. So if they make fucking Creed 3 and Rocky's dead, like this will rip a part of me away, man. So don't do it. I don't want Rocky to die and still Stallone dies, and I don't even know what I'll do with myself when Stallone dies. So it's one of them. I don't want him to, and if Rocky dies, he's got to go out like some G. He's not going to go out when it starts and they're at a funeral. No fucking way. Rather than just not mention him, just mention him in passing and that, and he's not in it than that.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, and it is really difficult when you have these attachments to celebrities and to people, and then they do pass away. It's really difficult. Like Robin Williams as an example.
Yeah, of course, man.
Years, and it's like someone I'm sure the same to you is like a massive part of like our generation's childhood. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Well, there was this thing of a day on Twitter. So anything that like flags up about Stallone, people will message me straight away and tell me, or I'll know because he's just my guy, and. I've been in like a taxi before where I've got talking to the driver and I've talked about Stallone and he's going, oh, he's a fucking dumb. And I'm like, oi, no, he isn't. And I'll tell him why. And I'll say, he made this film and that film and wrote this. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, no, he probably is a pretty switched on guy. So I defend him. Like I said, if you say something about Stallone, it's like you call my mum a slag. I'm fucking ready to throw hands. If it's like unjust, if someone says I don't enjoy his movies, that's a different preference. If someone's like, oh, he's a fucking daft past it, I'm like, oh, he fucking is not past it. But something happened the other day on Twitter, and there was a rumor that got spread that he joined a golf club that's owned by Trump. Now, this is a golf club that loads of celebrities go to. Trump owns lots of things. So as soon as it happened, I was like, well, I don't know enough about it to comment on it, not even to get political or anything. I was like, well, if he's joined a golf club owned by Trump, that's one thing, whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But there were people on Twitter and they were saying, I have heard Stallone has joined a golf club owned by Stump, so fuck him. I am getting rid of all my films. I've always known there was something about him. He's a piece of shit. And there was thousands of comments, all people saying, what has Stallone done? And someone else has said, oh, he's apparently joined a golf club owned by Trump. And people say, oh my God, well, fuck him. They're not a fan anymore. And all this, I'm like, you are not a fan of someone if you completely disown everything that you had towards them because they joined a golf club owned by someone that you don't like. And then it came out after that it wasn't even true. He put on his Instagram, he goes, bro, I didn't even join this golf club. He's like, no disrespect to anybody that has. It's just not true. Where were all the people after them saying, oh, do you know what? I take it back. In fact, I am still a fan of Stallone. People are so fickle now. The cancel culture is fucking terrible, man. I hate it so much. And for you to completely shit on someone who you're supposed to have liked all your life because of a rumor, like, that makes me think, I hope for God someone never makes a rumor about me because the fucking few thousand people that follow me now are just going to just not because they've heard a rumor before it's even come out as true. Cancel culture's fucked, man. And you know what that is as well, cancel culture? A lot of that shit doesn't even come down to the fact that, like, they've done something and I'm so deeply offended by it that I can't associate myself with them anymore. It's just trying to make yourself look like you're woke and that you're intolerable to bullshit before you even found out what it is. It's not even a reflection of them. It's a reflection of you. If you said to me, such, I'm not, without mentioning anyone, someone who I enjoy watching his films has done something shit, the first thing I'm going to think of, okay, well, where did you hear it? Where's it come out? Is it true? You know what I mean? I'm not going to think, well, fuck him then. Fuck him. Look at me. I'm cutting him off. Look at that. That's how big of a man I am. I can cut him off because he goes against my morals. I think it says more about you than it does them. Fuck cancel culture, man. I hate that shit. The world's full of enough negativity without that shit. Cancelling someone. Disintegrating someone because they've got a different view to you before you've even found out if it's true. Fuck off, man.
I think there's with social media and things, there's this like tendency to just follow what get on the bandwagon rather than people making up their own mind. Because I mean, I think there are things where it's like, okay, like a Harvey Weinstein or something. It's like, well,
exactly.
Okay,
there's things that's certified. Yeah, you're raping people. You're a piece of shit. You deserve to be cancelled. If there's a rumor that you joined a golf club owned by someone that you don't like, that is not, someone doesn't deserve to have the whole career disintegrated over that. I don't give a fuck. Like this, it's unjust.
When I was a kid, I used to love Keenan and Kel. Do you remember Keenan and Kel?
Yeah, of course, man. Orange soda. He's knuckle puck time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I was obsessed. And a rumor went round. I remember I was in year 6, so I was like 10, 11 years old. And a rumor went round that Kel had died in like a car accident. And literally, I was so distraught. I like faked being ill to my parents so I could have a day off from school to like mourn, and then found out the next day that
it wasn't true.
He was fine.
And that was like before you could just quickly search on the internet, like you had to work. I remember a few years ago, I was there was like a rumor that Stallone had died, and again he said on his Instagram, I don't know where it come from, it's just a rumor, but like instantly I was like, okay, I just need to just fucking have just process it and just make sure it's true, kind of thing, before I react on it. But I do know that, and it sounds, some people will never understand it, but I think we all fan someone in a certain way that like they mean more to us than just that they mean more to us than you're just a fan of him, because he's meant so much to me all my life, and a lot of like how I think and stuff is because of that, of like his teachings in a way. Do you know what I mean? Of what I've in interviews and the way he's made films in his career. That's how much it means to me. So yeah, it was a fucking something that he's here, man. Stallone's in my heart. He always will be. So yeah, this Stallone, we're throwing hands if it's unjust, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. I could just talk to you for hours. We'll have to arrange a part 2, and we can go into, you know, different things, or look at, you know, some of your favorite toy collections, or, you know, anything that you want to share. Yeah, and everybody go over, subscribe, check out Slimehouse TV. All of the links will be below, Instagram, all of them places. And yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure, bro. Anytime.
Awesome.
I'm telling you, you blow this game and nobody makes the team next year.
Mad props.